when we come back, this.
The best time to buy. The worst time to buy. Uber realtor Dolly Lenz on why getting that house ain't getting any easier.
You know, stocks are down even with today's gain. The Dow diving 700 points this week, an awful week, and housing still beaten down. Not even record low mortgage rates are able to pump it up. Get a load of this, a 30-year fixed falling to 4.3%. I know I kept saying this a lot. My wife and I got our first place. That's what we paid per day. We also walk back and forth to school, 6 miles uphill both ways. Anyway, banks not exactly ponying up the loans despite this. Uber broker Dolly Lenz says confidence is way down, even lower than these low rates. So, you know what I looked at as telling our staff, we were talking today, it's like the low-hanging fruit that you can't touch.
No, you can't touch it, and you don't know if you should touch it. You don't know if it's the apple that you shouldn't be biting into, you know.
But how can you not take advantage of these rates? Leaving aside the difficulty getting a mortgage, certainly the low rate increases your chance of getting a mortgage, doesn't it?
Well, only if the reason you weren't getting the mortgage was a financial qualification. If it was anything else, such as a credit rating, such as the appraisal value of the property or anything else, it doesn't help you at all.
So I'm going to ask you a bunch of dumb questions. You're always very classy the way you bat them down and don't call me an idiot. I thought it was in banks' interests. You know, they have money on their books, cheap as can be. They loan it out at a much higher rate because even at 4 to 3% or whatever, it's still a pad that would rival something, you know, the mob would relish. And they don't. Why not?
Why don't they want to finance your pad that the mob would relish?
Yeah.
Because they've got
First of all,
other
I
things.
don't know how you knew that the mob wanted it. Go ahead.
I think it's because they feel they can make easy money elsewhere, right? Banks are into very low risk and into very high returns.
Even now. So real estate,
Yes.
but that's a Mexican standoff then, right? I mean, they won't move, borrowers won't borrow. There's a feeling that real estate valuations could go down further, as
Correct.
you've accurately predicted. So we could be doing this.
Yeah, we could
forever.
be doing this forever. Look, that's why some of the banks now, you know, we know are raising buildings, right? They've foreclosed on property, and they decided, you know what? I don't want to maintain this. Let me just knock it down.
Well, is there a rule of thumb when stocks take it on the chin that real estate might benefit? I mean, money's got to find a home. I know this week it was Treasury securities. Where does it go?
I think the housing that's finding a home is rental housing. Rental housing is doing very well. Multiple family housing is doing very well because, relative of course to the rest, because people are saying they're going to be renters out there. I want to capture the renters, and I want to put my money in those buildings. And I'll tell you, that sector of the market is actually doing quite well. It's shocking, but it's doing well.
Just
rental buildings, multiple family housing.
The people who buy those type of buildings
Exactly,
too.
Investors, correct.
Okay.
That's doing well.
So what do you see happening? Something's got to give. And I think the valuations are a big bugaboo. You and I chatted about this before, because if you have a short sale in your region or town, or you have someone who's gone bankrupt or whatever, their home is sold in a distressed situation, lowers the valuation of all homes in an area.
Right, and even worse than that, you know, sometimes it's appraisers who really don't know the area, or the way banks are now doing appraisals.
But why is it that distressed sale then reflects the price of all homes in that area?
Because I think it's the lowest common denominator, right? The appraiser is saying to himself, to give a high appraisal, I have to sit there and say, why is this a high price? To give a low appraisal, I just, you know, just jot down a few things on a pad, done, these are the 3 homes.
But you know that just one failed property, or an owner who got in over his head or lost his or her job, whatever, it does not speak for the valuation of hundreds of other properties in the town.
Well, clearly, if I'm trying to finance a sale, it's because there's a contract signed by a willing buyer and a willing seller at what should be, give or take, a fair market price, right? I mean, you don't have idiotic buyers, and there aren't so many idiotic sellers either.
But the appraisers are still under the gun here, right? So they'd rather be erring on the side of ridiculous caution.
Correct, which is why I get unbelievable hate mail.
What is it?
Every single time I'm here and I talk about appraisals, everything is jammed up with hate mail. Appraisals say it's not our fault, it's not our fault. Maybe if you were selling more, we wouldn't have a problem. And I'm like, well, I can't. If I sell more and it doesn't appraise, then what's going to happen is there's no closing, and then you can't appraise. So we keep going in this horrible round circle. But you have no idea the amount of hate mail I get over it.
Oh, I would understand. Yeah. I'm kidding. Yeah. Dolly, thank you very much. Always good seeing you. Dolly Lenz, realtor to the stars.